to Illustrations and Applications, Mastering Your Library Series, Part 4 of 5. And if you've been with us for the first 3, you know this is going to be an exciting time going through the various books and resources out there, helping you decide what is the best books to buy. Tonight's training topics, as you can see, is we're going to look at breaking in 2 parts. First part will be illustrations. Second part will be applications. We'll look at the role of illustrations in Bible study and sermon prep, defining them and placement. We'll look at types of illustrations, what is the attributes of an illustration, finding articles on it. Number 3, illustration sources and resources. And then there we'll get into your choices and whatnot. Then we'll switch to applications, kind of doing the same outline, types of applications and application sources and resources. So this is going to be packed. And don't forget, we are going to include a free personal book with the webinar, links that has links to your books, notes, and so much more. Great, and welcome back, Bob. Glad you got the sound corrected. I'd love to know if it was just simply reconnecting was the issue. Okay, so this places us in the near the end of September, the 4th Monday of the month. And what's coming up next month? We've got 3 times we're meeting together again. The first Monday of every month, we've got missions, understanding God's purpose for Israel and the church. We're going to teach you how to study this topic. We'll have some great resources to point out as well. This will be really good for not only those of you who want to witness in your community, for those who take mission trips short, or even if you're a missionary on furlough or missionary right now living in another country. This will be really crucial. So looking forward to that. That's 1 week from tonight. The 3rd Monday of the month, October 15th, we're back to our Studying Important Doctrine series, number 11 out of 12. We'll be dealing with husbands. So get ready for that one. And then October 22nd, we'll be studying along with the church fathers. You've probably heard about them. There's resources, there's tools. How do you use them and study with them? And what should you take from them and what should you discard from them? Some important issues to discuss there. And let's see, if you want to sign up, just visit us at LearnLogos.com /webinar, and you can sign up right away. Don't forget, you can take this webinar home tonight for only normally retails for $9.99. We discount that to $4.99 for you. Our training CDs are available and discounted to 50% off. They are an incredible resource, over 17 hours of training, 305 videos, the most comprehensive training available. And the webinars are a little bit more interactive, a little more loose, a little more topical based, and it's presumed that you have somewhat of a knowledge of Logos, though not necessarily a knowledge for the topic. Whereas the training CDs, we're going to take you from beginner through advanced. So if you're longing to learn more about Logos 4, this is the training that you need to get. You can go online and order that tonight and download it immediately. When we're finished with the webinar, we'll make that available to you via download link within 24 hours, barring anything going wrong with the technology. So let's just do a recap. We are in the 4th in the series, Mastering Your Library. As you can see there, we've got the commentaries we've already done, lexicons and dictionaries, encyclopedias was our second one, and theological resources. Now, if you want to study this topic further, I have some additional webinars that I've done that really focus in how to principalize the text and how to find illustrations. You can order all 6, or you can just order one of those pairs. All the examples are different between each one, and in some of the outlines, in some of the webinars, there is a difference in the topics covered. But really, you can get by with one set, or you can get all 6. It's really up to you. But I definitely recommend that if you want to learn how to find applications and principalize the text, how to find illustrations, those webinars are specifically targeted for that. We'll cover a little bit of that tonight, but really we're focusing on resources. And so let's really get started. Let me go ahead and open up the Logos program. And as you can see here, we've got the personal book already opened up. And I'll just expand the table of contents so you can see the level of detail that's in these books. The personal books. And so let's begin first with the role of illustrations in Bible study sermon preparation. And I love Webster's definition because it's really helpful. And I've got the link here for you. But if you look at Webster, they've got some great insights there, and the link is there. But let me just summarize it this way. The primary role of an illustration is to point, and this is the key, people back to the biblical text in order for the text to come into focus. As a result of the illustration, the biblical text is clear and more memorable. Notice that the focus is not so much an illustration, but it is on the biblical text. And one of my favorite analogies, as I have here, is it's much like a flashlight illuminating an object in the dark. That's what an illustration does. Additionally, the biblical text should be more noteworthy than the illustration. And this is one of the arts and dangers of illustrations, that sometimes they can be so powerful that it eclipses the biblical text. And so that's a really important, I think, definition to guide you as you do this. Now, let me give you some examples of some illustrations where this happened. I'm just going to go online here. Sermon Central, of course, has some great sermons and to exemplify and all this. And let me go ahead and get this personal book out of the way now so I can work with this on the side and we can stay focused. But I want to take you to the issue here of an illustration. So let me go back here. And here you have this is the book of, let's see, the passage is going to be on Daniel. And the particular illustration here is right here. But Daniel resolved not to defile himself with the royal food and wine. He asked a chief official for permission not to defile himself this way. And then here comes the illustration. The cadet's prayer is said at every Sunday chapel at West Point. Make us choose the harder right instead of the easier wrong, and never to be contented with half-truth when the whole truth can be won. Endow us with courage that is born of loyalty to all that is noble and worthy, that scorns to compromise with vice and injustice, and knows no fear when right and truth are in jeopardy. That's a pretty cool illustration, and that's a good example of an illustration just properly set inside a sermon. Okay, I got a question already. Let's see here. Let's see. Hi, John. Looking at the site and can only see 2 sessions, 3 parts for sale. Is the collection available as one complete download? Yeah, Tim, if you go to LearnLogos.com, I'll just digress here for a moment. All right. And if you float your mouse under webinars, live training, and you go under the, the Mastering Your Library series, if you scroll down, you'll see part 1, part 2, and part 3. So there they are listed all right there. So that should help you right away. And great question. All right, so to come back, so that's a good example. Now here's another illustration of bringing the text to light. And an excellent resource, Grace Jew MacArthur, John MacArthur has put all his sermons for the last 40 years on there. And this particular illustration is dealing with being filled with the Spirit. And I love what he says here. So let me just get right to it. Filled right here. All right. So he says here, at the heart of this worthy walk, at the heart of living a godly life that honors the Lord in this reality called being filled with the Spirit, verse 18 speaks of being filled with the Spirit. Now here comes illustrations. Short, simple, to the point. Filled, not in the sense of filling a glass, but filling a sail, moved along in the direction that honors God by the power of the Holy Spirit. Parallel to that is Colossians 3:16. Now this is a great example of an illustration that is bringing you back to the text, and yet it conjures up a wonderful word picture to help you understand what filling of the Spirit means. Not in the sense of filling up in the glass, you need more and more and more, and then you top it off, but in the sense of a filling of a sail, allowing the Holy Spirit to move you in a direction. Very powerful illustration, and yet so simple, but you can see in both examples how the text is the object of the illustration. Now, just to take a moment, where do you place an illustration? You know, it's kind of interesting as you study sermons and you look at all the possibilities, but really, to keep it simple, it comes down to 3 options. Now, option number 1 is before the exposition or explanation of the text, and therefore you use the illustration to introduce. In fact, let me go ahead and bring the personal book back in here. The second possibility is during the exposition or explanation. Here's an example with MacArthur. To emphasize, you say something and now you want to bring a little more attention, a little more emphasis. And then the third, of course, is after the exposition, after your explanation, and this is to wrap it up or to bring a conclusion. So when you think about illustrations and placement, each place that you play, wherever you decide to place the illustration, will determine its kind of role and function. And so take advantage of that and think thoughtfully where you're going to place it and what you're going to do. All right, so let's go ahead now and look at the types of illustrations. Now, I thought this would be really helpful for you. If you ever go and study illustrations, you'll discover that they have certain attributes. And as you're concocting and searching and researching and finding illustrations, having this list of attributes can really help you. Because as I've discovered, the right illustration can really make a lesson more powerful and more effective. And again, like I said, make the text clear. So ask the question, is my illustration going to be short or long? Is the content of illustration going to be fact to fiction? What's going to be the point of view? Is it going to be from self or to others? What's the medium? Illustrations can be audio, they can be visual, they can be physical when someone brings in a prop or something. Emotion. What is the emotion of the illustration? Now, I've got some links here to take you some websites where it lists various emotions, so that can be a helpful list for you. And then also, what's the literary form? Let me just click here real quick to kind of guide you. We sometimes forget these things, but, there's a short story format. There's a novel, allegory, comedy. You can see all these different genres, realism and romance and so forth. These are different types of literature, and they can help you understand how to look at an illustration from that perspective because you want your literary form to fit your sermon. What's the target? Are you aiming just for the heart, for emotions? Are you aiming for the mind, or are you aiming for both? Also, an illustration is a call to action sometimes. Is it a call to serve God or serve man or both or something along those lines? You must always consider your audience. And so, is the content of your illustration targeting someone young, someone old, a little bit of both? And then be sensitive to your vocabulary. Is the vocabulary something that everyone can participate in? Is it general, universal? Or is it something that's very specific and technical? You got to be aware of that. And then also think about the power of the illustration. An illustration can be very effective and persuade an individual, but also depending on the illustration, it can be rejected outright. So be careful in making sure you understand its power. And then, of course, correlation, checking your work, making sure that your illustration flows from the text and back to the text. And that's a great illustration for me. Is just an illustration is flowing. Illustration flows out of the text, and then when you're finished with the illustration, you're back in the text. That is an effective illustration. Now, if you want to learn more about finding articles on types of illustrations, and there's quite a bit written in the Logos library, I've included here, in fact, let me turn on my marking pen, so I have that here, but I have here a collection that you can create that will allow you to search your resources for illustrations, for types of illustrations. And so I've created that here for you, and there it is. So we've got the, there we go. I'm going to go ahead and run that search, and we'll take a look real quick. And I'm going to choose my collection, and let's see here. So this is in the preaching collection. So these are books that are all associated with preaching. And that's where you're going to find a lot of discussions on illustrations and types of illustrations. So here it is. There's the search, types of illustrations, and then we can just go ahead and look at those. And you're going to find that there's quite a bit of material written. Here's types of illustrations. You click on that. This is in Steps to a Sermon, and you can learn quite a bit about types of these and so forth. So very helpful and will come in handy. All right, let's go back to the personal book. And also, you can search your library and Bible dictionaries, encyclopedias. That's another great resource. And so, again, we've done this in other webinars. We've done searches on Bible dictionaries, encyclopedias. And you could search the same search, but search this collection of Bibles and encyclopedias. So definitely take advantage of that. In fact, I'll just go ahead and show you what I've done there. So I'm just going to go ahead and change that to dictionaries. encyclopedias, and we'll go ahead and do a search. And sure enough, you'll find in some of these types of illustrations. And here's, for example, a whole bunch from Baker's Dictionary of Practical Theology. And just out of curiosity, I was wondering if that sound was coming across to you. I may need to turn off that little bell every time I hit the escape button. And so here we go, types of illustrations, and we've got a variety of them. We've got expressive, figurative, anecdotes, narration, object lesson, testimony, and a whole bunch more. So you can see that that can be very helpful. All right, great. Wonderful. No bell sound, so just be me. All right. So that's a great way if you want to dig deeper into this topic. This can give you some lists and ideas for your own types of illustrations. Let's go back to the personal book now and go to our next section, which is illustration, sources, and resources. Now, I've put together for you a real basic search, basic search, sources of illustrations. And again, this is now, we were talking earlier, just so we can get this clear. We were talking types of illustrations. Now we're looking for the sources of those illustrations. Where are we going to find those types? So it's a little bit, with illustrations, you have this